screenshot here that David had sent in with his question. The question is about, closing out a position if price breaks a previous, swing low or swing high, right, depending on the direction of your trade, or if price crosses a moving average. So in this case, a 50 EMA here. Let me get back to this here. Talk about the various ways that we can do this here, but first let me get BlackBird up and running here. So I already have BlackBird on this chart here, so I can either start it from the control center, or I can go to my chart and go into the strategies as well and start it from here. So either way. All right, so let me get BlackBird open here. For creating, exit signals, basically to flatten exit signals, or, to flatten a trade. Actually, let me back up here. I would first suggest that, if you want to flatten a trade here, and let's get this open too. If you want to close out a trade, based on some kind of, price behavior here, I would suggest creating an exit signal within BloodHound here. Right. So in other words, utilize, if we go to BloodHound, let's load up a signal here. All right. So I'd suggest, first of all, using the exit signal template here from BloodHound. Right. So that would require, building some BloodHound logic, looking for price to cross below a swing line, or looking for price to cross below your EMA50. So that would be the best way to do this. So, but since this is not the BloodHound workshop, we can't do that today here. But simply put, you would just use a crossover solver within BloodHound, to look for price crossing over the swing line, and another crossover solver to look for price, to cross over the EMA, and then connect both of those crossovers together with an OR node. So that way you have both crossover conditions connected into an OR node, and you would get an exit signal based on price crossing, either one of these, indicators here, right? So that would be the best way to do this, would be to use BloodHound. So, but since that would be for yesterday's workshop, I'll show you some options that we have within BlackBird to do this as well. So, all right, so let's minimize that. So I do have, so we can see I've got the swings, highs, lows on my chart here. So let's just pull this up real quick. All right. So from my indicator list, right, I have the swings, highs, lows indicator here. That's included with the Shark indicators installer, right? You get these couple of indicators here, and then I also have an EMA50 on my chart, like so. All right. So just so we're going to use the swings, highs, lows indicator. And of course the EMA indicator in BlackBird to do this here. So the first thing you want to do is, like with any swings indicator, is make sure you get, your adjustments, figure out, what swing strength and what number of swings you want to use. So probably 2 is what you're wanting to use based on the screenshot there. And of course the swing strength, that's very subjective, so you'll have to kind of play around with that on the chart there, to see what you want to use, what's going to kind of work out best for you. So all right, so let's get BlackBird back open here. All right. Okay, so we don't have a BloodHound template for this, so I'm just going to get rid of that, and let's start making an order set. And what I'll do is I'll incorporate these exit rules into a stop loss. Into a stop loss. So let's just make a 10 tick. Let's make this a little more sophisticated here. Let's do a 10 tick trailing with the break even here. There. All right, so let's open this up and we'll go into the trailing actions tab. All right. Okay, so here's the other two rules, right? We have the break even rule and then the trailing rule after the break even. So what we're going to do is now add another rule here, and let's see, what should we call this? Let's call this flatten on swing crossover, something like that. So, all right. So let's see. So, yeah, the way that we can detect if price crosses over a swing, like right here where my cursor's at, right? We can see the bar crossed over that previous swing line there, or something similar over here, or well, obviously at the edge of the chart right there too. So to do that, we're going to use a trigger to do that here. And let's see. Actually, that's right. Now that we have the advanced tab for the triggers here, actually, we can make this, we can incorporate both of these conditions into one trailing roll here. So let's see, flatten on swing, or EMA crossover. Yeah. So we'll incorporate both of these, price crossing the swing or price crossing the EMA, into one trailing roll here. So let's do this. All right. So we're going to have to use the advanced tab here. So that way we're going to change our mode to any, and then we can go and add multiple trigger conditions here. And we're comparing price versus an indicator, right? So we're checking to see, when price crosses an indicator or price crosses the EMA50. All right, so let's see this first one here. We'll set this up for the let's see, swings. Yeah, crossing the previous swing line there. So let's see. All right, so input A, it's already set to the closing price of the bar. And then input B will go in here, and we got a couple options. Either we can just go in and load the swings indicator this way, right? Or you can use the swing point price interface, and basically, right, this is just the swing highs lows indicator, just incorporated in in a custom interface like so. So either one will work here, but I think most people kind of prefer to use the indicator value input, just because the menu, the interface is just a little more familiar with people, I think. So let's select. There we go. There's our swings highs lows. And now we just need to adjust the settings. So on my chart here, I'm using number of swings. I've set it down to 2. So it's a little more responsive to the previous swing. So, and I just left the swing strength at 7. And there we go. And then we need to figure out, okay, which plots are we using here? So for a long trade, we'll use the widest bottoms, and then for a short trade, we're going to use the widest tops, right? So remember, the widest bottoms, that plot, right? That's the swing lows here, the red hash lines, and then the widest tops, right? That's the swing highs, the green hash lines. So yeah, there we go. All right, just like so. And then we need to set the modes up here. So if we're in a long trade, right, we're actually looking for the closing price to go below the swing. So in other words, input A goes below input B. So we're going to need to change this where A goes below B, like so, and then reverse it for the short mode. And there we go. We're done. Pretty quick and straightforward there. So this is for the swings, for price, crossing the swings there. So yeah, so there is, keep in mind that this price versus indicator, it acts more like, well, not more like, it does act like a comparison solver. So it's not a crossover solver. So that's why using BloodHound would be a little better. It would be a little better to have a crossover solver in this situation versus using a comparison solver or a comparison type of condition here, right? And so like the reason why you'd want to use a crossover solver would be, let's see here. Yeah, here's a good example, right? So we can see we have a swing high, or I'm sorry, we have a swing low up here, right? So price right now is below this swing low here. So if you did take a long trade down here, right, while the swing indicator is still plotting the swing low from up here, yeah, if you took a long trade from here, right, this trailing roll would get triggered right away because price is below that swing low from the indicator, right? So any long trades would get closed out right away until, right, the swing indicator detects this swing low here. So once the swing low plot moves down, once the indicator detects the swing low and it moves the plot down, then it would be okay to take a long trade once that happens, right? So this area down here would get closed out using BlackBird's price versus indicator, because again, this acts more like a comparison solver. So if it was with BloodHound's crossover solver, right, you would only get a signal on that one bar when price crosses the swing line, right? Yeah, right. So a crossover is only a crossover condition, right, is only a one bar instance. But when you're doing comparisons, when you're comparing price versus an indicator, right, that comparison is continuous for every bar that is below the swing line. So just be aware, of those kind of limitations there if you're using BlackBird for this. Yeah. All right. So let's just to kind of wrap this up and let's build. I'll build the other trigger condition for the EMA50 here. So we're going to add another price versus indicator again, right? And so again, the same situation here would be true, where if price is below that EMA50 when you take a long trade, then of course this trailing roll is going to close out that it's going to close out that trade instantly if it's below it. So, but if we kind of go back to the screenshot, it kind of looks like maybe it's not going to be an issue if you're definitely only taking long trades in a good strong uptrend here. Right. So, but let's just go ahead and round this out here and finish this up. So, all right. And so let's go down into this second price versus indicator. Again, so we're going to, input A is going to be the closing price of the bar. Input B will be our EMA. There's the EMA. And let's make sure we put in a 50 period like so. There. And then again, let's go in and change the long and short modes here. So in other words, so if A goes below B, right? So if the close goes below the EMA, then that's our condition for closing out a long trade, and then closing out a short trade would just be the opposite. So we'll do A above B, like so. And then next, we're going to go into the action. And so with this latest update, we have there it is, flatten position. So now we can use the flatten position instead of moving the order into the last price, into the market. We'll just use flatten position there instead. So there we go, flatten position. All right, and that is basically it. So we'll just leave this trigger rule open here, and then take a look at the Q&A board and see what we got here. Let's see here. David's saying crosses and closes under. Correct, yeah. So closes under, so that's why we're using the close price of the bar to make sure that it closes under the swing line or the EMA50 there. Yeah. So yeah, if you're just looking for price to break your indicator, if you're just looking for price to break the swing line, I guess another way to say it, if you're just looking for price to dip below your swing line or dip below it, then instead of using the close, right, you could use the low of the bar, and the high of the bar. So, but if you actually literally want the bar to close below it, then yeah, you'll use the close price of the bar. David's saying he's using Renko bars. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, the rules, as you can see, the rules don't encompass what bar type you're using. So.